Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's begin. Under the hush of a winter night, the prairie stretched endless and silent. Snow drifted across the land like torn ribbons in the wind. A reluctant moon hung low, throwing pale light over fences that reached into the emptiness and a barn door that rattled against the wind as if holding back a secret. Caleb Whitmore, 30 years old and marked by solitude, pressed his gloved hand to the wood. He could feel the cold cut through leather. He had built this ranch with the grit of his youth, raising walls against storms, but no walls had ever kept out loneliness. Tonight, though, something moved beyond the timber, and for the first time in months, curiosity sparked inside him. He pushed the barn door open. The hinges groaned. Warm air laced with hay and horse musk rolled out, and his lantern cast a trembling circle into the shadows. At first he thought he saw nothing more than blankets tossed carelessly into the straw. But then he noticed shallow breaths. The dark spill of wet hair, the curled shape of a woman fighting against the cold. Her hands were bare, skin raw and red, lashes frozen with frost. His mind told him it was a trespasser, yet his chest tightened with something far gentler, far more dangerous. She was young, no more than 22. Her beauty not softened by comfort, but sharpened by hardship. The shawl clutched around her shoulders was far too thin for the storm. Beneath it, he caught the faint trim of clothing from a world not his own. Later he would learn she was called Redbird, a widow of a scattered tribe. For now, she was simply a shadow that breathed. Caleb knew what neighbors would expect of him. Drag her out, demand answers, prove his house held no weakness. But as the storm howled outside, all he saw was a shivering form, not a threat. Something inside him cracked, some brittle layer that had long sealed his heart. He bent low and whispered words he had not planned, words reckless yet true. From now on, you're mine. Her eyes opened, dark and searching, fierce even in their weariness. She didn't flinch, though a tremor ran through her. Their gazes locked, and the barn seemed to tighten around them, as if even the beams leaned forward to listen. By morning, she sat at his kitchen table, shoulders straight despite exhaustion. Bread and coffee waited untouched before her as she stared out the window, as if tracing the road back to a world she had lost. Caleb leaned in the doorway. Struck by her silence, it was heavy, familiar. The same silence that had lived inside him since fever claimed his parents years ago. He asked where she came from, if she had kin, but her lips stayed pressed shut. Only at night did he hear her voice, whispering another man's name in her sleep. Shame burned through him. She still belonged to grief, not to him. Yet as days unfolded, she lingered near him on the ranch, quiet but present. He noticed her mending a shirt of his, fingers trembling as she threaded the needle. He noticed her setting his cup on the table before he reached for it. And he noticed, too, the way neighbors looked at them with sharp eyes and sharper tongues. Whitmore's keeping an Indian woman in his house, they would say, dripping with suspicion and disdain. Caleb bore it in silence. He felt no shame of her, only shame that he had ever cared for the judgment of men who had never known loss. Then, one evening, she was gone. A storm swallowed the ranch in white blur, and on the chair by the fire lay her folded blanket. Panic seized Caleb, a fear he had not felt since boyhood. He saddled his horse and rode into the storm, calling her name into the merciless dark. At last, he found her crumpled near the riverbank, pale as moonlight, breaths shallow and weak. He lifted her into his arms, carrying her back with steps that felt like vows. By the fire, he rubbed life back into her hands, his touch desperate, his heart undone. When her eyes finally opened, a single whispered word of gratitude escaped her lips, fragile as smoke. It struck him deeper than any kiss. In that moment, he swore to himself he would rewrite her story with kindness, no matter how long it took. The days softened after that. She began to eat, even laughed once, a sound so rare it startled them both. Their bond grew not in words, but in gestures, his hand brushing snow from her shoulders, her setting his plate before him. Silence no longer felt empty, but shared. Still, Caleb saw the longing in her eyes when she looked out the window, a longing for belonging, for roots, for more than survival. One evening, he draped his late mother's shawl across her shoulders. She clutched it as if holding not fabric, but memory. Her eyes glistened in the firelight, and though she said nothing, something shifted between them, fragile yet unbreakable. Soon after, the whispers from neighbors grew louder. One man even came to Caleb's gate, warning, "You'll ruin your name for her." Caleb stood tall, voice steady. "I'd rather lose my name than lose her." In that moment, his choice was clear. When he asked her to be his wife, there was no grandeur, no audience. Snow fell thick and quiet as they stood beneath an ancient oak, its branches bending like a blessing. He looked at her not as possession, but as partner, and in her eyes, he saw loneliness transformed into something whole. She pressed her forehead to his chest and whispered words that mended every fracture inside him. "Now, I am home." Years later, the ranch was no longer just cattle and fences, but laughter and warmth. Fields once barren bloomed with life, and Caleb and Redbird walked hand in hand through the land they had reclaimed together. Her presence had softened the harsh edges of the prairie, making it a home instead of a mere shelter. Their love story became a beacon, not just for themselves, but for others seeking refuge. Their door remained open, offering warmth and solace to anyone who needed it. As the seasons turned, Caleb and Redbird's love deepened, proving that tenderness can bloom even in the harshest winters. They navigated life with a quiet strength born from understanding and respect. Through the joy and challenges, they held on to each other, creating a haven of peace on the prairie. Caleb and Redbird's journey serves as a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected encounters can lead to the deepest connections. Their story unfolded like a whisper on the wind, carrying a message of hope and resilience to all who heard it. The vastness of the prairie mirrored the boundless nature of their love, anchoring them to each other and to their dreams. If you too ever find yourself trapped in solitude, remember that love is not claimed in the darkness, but proven in the light of shared storms. Look beyond the whispers of the world and discover the strength in embracing what sets you apart. You never know when a wandering soul might cross your path, carrying the very essence of home within their eyes. And to those who seek refuge in love's embrace, never let doubt overshadow the depth of your connection. For in the quiet moments when life's storms have passed, you'll find solace in the unwavering bond you share. Just as Caleb and Redbird found their way back to each other on the prairie, you too can mend broken pieces and weave them into a tapestry of everlasting love. Trust in the whispers of your heart, for they hold the key to unlocking a future where tenderness knows no bounds. In the heart of winter, when hope seems lost, love has the power to ignite the warmest flames. Just as Caleb and Redbird found each other amidst the snow, may your journey lead you to the one who makes your spirit soar. Remember, home isn't just a place, it's a feeling that echoes in the depths of your being. It's the gentle touch of a hand, the soft glow of shared dreams, and the profound connection that transcends words. Nurture these moments, for they are the threads that bind two souls together, creating a masterpiece of enduring love. Before we part ways, I invite you to share your thoughts. What resonated with you the most in Caleb and Redbird's tale? Feel free to share your comments below. And if you've been touched by this story, don't forget to show your support. Your likes and shares are the guiding stars that help us navigate our creative journey. Together, let's continue to illuminate the path for more beautiful stories to unfold. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Until next time, may your days be filled with the warmth of love and the magic of new beginnings. Take care and cherish the whispers of hope that dance upon the wind.